not just the Lightning components that Salesforce is announcing. We're also going to talk about a new framework for producing Lightning components fairly quickly, as well as paired with additional technology to import your existing Visualforce pages and convert those over automatically into Lightning components. So for those of you that have a lot of Visualforce legacy technology in place, we will provide a migration path to get that into the Lightning framework for you. So some background. We are with a company called TerraSky. We're actually a company headquartered in Tokyo, Japan, with offices here in the US. We've been around for about 10 years. We're a fairly large implementation partner with over 1,800 implementations under our belt, which we've then used best practices from all of those and productized those into a number of tools, which are how we make some of these technologies possible. The first tool, SkyVisualEditor, is a tool that's used all over the world, but for producing Visualforce pages. So it's a studio that allows you to drag and drop, rearrange icons and components on the screen, and get Visualforce pages to look like you want without having to go in and write all of the code. Now, this also provides functionality to import Visualforce pages that were not made with this tool that you can then take into the studio and further manage and maintain in this studio going forward. So that produces the first part of the migration path from Visualforce into Lightning. We do have another tool on integration, but we will not be talking about that one here today. So SkyVisualEditor, very quickly. If you're familiar, Visualforce is very powerful, but you do have to code it out. You do have to be fairly technical in order to get it into your system. What we do is we give a studio that's like a Visual Studio or just like a PowerPoint type of a tool. Very simple, drag and drop, move your shapes and objects, fields around on the screen, and it will produce that code for you in the background so you don't have to code it out. Now, the benefits of this is very plentiful. You get all of the benefits of Visualforce that you would get without having to code it out. So we see a lot of times larger organizations have pages with a lot of custom fields. If they want to use the regular Salesforce layouts, they get very long pages with only 2 columns. You can alleviate those types of pages that look like you're on the left. You get a nice looking page with tabs and things like that fairly quickly. The idea that we've taken there, you can get a lot of pages. Your users will then actually use the pages that you have made. All of the large investment that you've made in Salesforce, you'll actually get the data in there, and all of your salespeople will be getting their information in there to maximize your investment, so you don't have users that are unsatisfied with the system. That same idea that we had for Visualforce, we've taken for Lightning as well. So this week we're introducing a new product. Tony's going to show a demo here momentarily. Our product is called SuPICE, and it is essentially what we did for Visualforce with SkyVisualEditor, a studio for Lightning. Now this differs from the Lightning app builder, which Salesforce is releasing. They basically allow you to rearrange components that are already available. But our tool, SuPICE, is a studio to produce new components. So similar to the studio that we had, SkyVisualEditor, you have a list of all of your fields that you'd want to use and a number of components, a number of simple building blocks. You put those together and very quickly and easily drag and drop, make a component, which then you would put into the app builder to make your Lightning pages exactly how you want. The vision, as I mentioned here, with our SkyVisualEditor tool, you're able to import your pages already into the SkyVisualEditor framework, which then you would be able to migrate into our SuPICE tool to get into Lightning components. So this provides a very automated way of going from Visualforce, all of your existing legacy technology, into the latest and greatest Salesforce technology. With that, I'll pass it over to Tony, who is going to hopefully wow us with some nice demos.
Shiny toys. All right. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is an example of some componentry that we've made using SuPICE, and then we can kind of roll into the actual demo itself. So what we're looking at on the screen here, this first component on the far left-hand side is what we call a search box. So inside of SuPICE, you're going to be able to create and associate objects with some kind of search criteria that you have, and it'll show a data card that you can interact with. So if I, where's my cursor? There we go. So if I click this search button, It'll search through, in this case, the list of accounts that we have and show little data cards that will appear for you then to click on inside of the mobile experience, where you then could customize how this would look on the actual application. So as you can see, we've got related list in there. We have several fields that you'd be able to customize and set up within SuPICE, as that is a singular self-contained component. Then we have the middle component, which is what we call a swipe component, and this will allow you to have basic interactions that are pretty intuitive on mobile. So when you're looking at, in this case, the tasks, being able to swipe, let's say, to the right, being able to swipe to the right, you can close out a task as done, whereas being able to swipe to the left would go ahead and delete the task if you no longer need it. So again, trying to streamline the way we work with the platform, both for Lightning on Salesforce 1, but eventually the bigger picture is to be able to do that for your desktop experience as well. How do we enable people to use that on touch tablets and things like that moving forward? But then, since you're using the Lightning App Builder, you also have components that are on the far right, which are going to be pre-installed components. You can just go download off the App Exchange, and so you're able to mix and match and pair them as you see fit. So let's go ahead and build out the two components on the left and the middle, and then we'll come back in and show a couple of other examples. So here's our SuPICE Studio. If you've used any of our other platforms like SkyVisualEditor, or if you've ever used the Lightning App Builder, this should look really familiar to you. All of the componentry is built out on the left-hand side, so this is not a full comprehensive list at the moment, so we're going to continually add to this over time, but it is a list that we currently have. And then on the right-hand side is going to be a preview. Now this preview is really nice because it's interactive, which means you get to actually test the functionality before you send it off into your environment. And in the center of the screen is going to be the actual design canvas, where you actually connect the dots and make sure everything hooks up correctly. So let's go ahead and make that first search component. So as I can scroll down, we have a list of preset units, and it literally is just as simple as you drag this on and drop it in place. Now you can mix and match a bunch of different componentry, but for what I've built out in today's example, this would be all you need. Now in here we have a lot of other properties that exist that you can come in and change and toggle. So I'm not going to get a chance to dive into those today, but if you want, you can stop by our booth and come and check this out a little bit further. But you are able to connect in your different data sources, and if you want, you can select the different, let's say, activity history here, and you can go in and select the different things that make sense for this search. Right? And this is not, again, something that's currently available within Salesforce 1 Mobile, so looking to just enhance that user experience. Once you're done designing that component, you simply deploy it, and the deploy button is in the top right. As you click deploy, it's going to ask you for your component name up here in the top. My resolution's a bit off, but it'll ask you for the Lightning component name, and then it shows you a preview of what that component's going to look like. You then deploy this, and it gets sent into the Lightning App Builder. So that'll be where it's housed and maintained for you then to assign wherever you like. So if you think about the bigger picture of what Salesforce is doing with both the mobile and the desktop, being able to have a library of componentry that you build out for your user base, and then you just create the different kinds of flexi pages that you need, is the general concept. So once we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and build out that second component. And this one is going to be that swipe list. Now I'm going to build it a little differently than I have shown inside of the demo, just to show you how components interact with each other and how simple it is to create something. So swipe list is down at the bottom, but you can use any of our componentry to do what I'm about to show. We drop it in, and you have that component built out on the right. Now you can further customize this to fit whatever your needs are, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag on a button. And what I want this button to do is I want it to, as I click the button, show and hide this list. Okay, so being able to show how you set up different interactions between components. Now if you notice, I just dragged the button on top of the swipe list, and we will automatically create a lot of those interactions for you. So we do truly want this to be something that administrators can use without having to know any of the coding background or anything like that. You just get in and set up some of the basic logical functions that need to take place. So in here we have the simple interaction of when that trigger happens. So this is when you touch the button, we want some action to take place. Now this action, in this case, I want it to hide the button. Or, sorry, I want it to hide the list. And then you can select which component on the canvas you want that interaction to affect. So again, I want the touch event to hide the swipe list. Once I'm done doing that, let's see, click off here. This component on the right-hand side is previewed, right? Now it's nice because it's interactive, like I said. So you can actually verify that when I click that button, it does indeed hide the list as you want. So you're able to get a lot of that mix and match functionality and truly preview and test this before you actually deploy it into Salesforce. So it gives a nice, quick and fast way to do everything. Now once you're done, again, you simply deploy this component into Salesforce as well, and then it's going to be available inside of that the Lightning App Builder for you to use. So that's how we create the far left-hand side, that component search, and then that middle list where you have that swipe interaction. But if you notice, we didn't have to set up the logic for how the swipe took place. That's just a part of the component. So we're going to build out these series of components that just have a lot of that logic built in, and then you guys just connect the dots to create whatever cool things you want. All right, now we're also going to have a framework to allow you to create your own components as you see fit, but that'll come at a later time. So let me show an example of how this could work in a different layout within Salesforce 1. So as you can see, we have several different I guess tabs that have been built out with these two components. So if I go in here with this two component layout, one of the things that we could do is have it to where it's a 2/3 layout and then a 1/3 column, which is not normally something that's available within the Salesforce 1 mobile. You typically have the 2-column view or a 3-column, but not a 2/3 and a 1/3. So we can get really creative in how we set things up. But again, since it's designed through the Lightning App Builder, you can mix and match these things however you want them to be, and it's still just as functional. So if you want the cards when a user is on a tablet, as an example, to take up a majority of your screen and be interactive there, that's perfectly fine. You just drill in and you've got that information in a nice and large capacity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the last couple of minutes opened up for Q&A. I want to make sure we have ample time to talk through things. So if you guys have any questions, we can talk through that.